Hi, my name's Will Zimmerman, and I'm here with my assistant editor, Ben Conroy, and we are here talking to Coach Forbes today, the newly hired basketball coach. So first of all, Coach Forbes, thank you so much for making the time to meet with us today. And, I think I speak for a lot of the Wake Forest community when I say we're super excited to have you, and I think we're ready for a reinvigoration of the basketball program. And I'll hand it over to Ben for our first question.
All right, so first question. How are you and your family adjusting to the current COVID-19 outbreak? Do you have plans to relocate in a more permanent capacity to Winston-Salem anytime soon? And how has this process been affected by what's going on right now?
Well, it's obviously affected the way we live. And, being a coach, when I was at ETSU, I couldn't even go into the office or go on campus probably for the last 5 or 6 weeks. My wife's an educator. She teaches elementary school, so she was home. And my son, Jonathan is the youngest, he's a sophomore, and he's been home. And then my oldest, Christopher, just finished his master's, and my daughter, Elizabeth's working on her PhD at ETSU, so they live in a house in town. So it's really kind of just been our family unit, and I hadn't seen my staff until this job came open. I hadn't seen my ETSU staff in probably 5 or 6 weeks. So we've basically just been at home. With the change, it's been interesting. The one thing that has helped me personally is Johnson City to Winston-Salem's only about 3 hours. And so my wife and my children have been able to come down here and look at houses. They're out looking today, actually. And I've been able to go home once on the weekend. And I think that's probably what I'll continue to do until things open back up, is I'll be here during the week in the office and practicing social distancing and wearing my pandemic, mask. And, and then going home on the weekends, to see my family. And so it's been difficult, but really the distance has helped me a little bit as far as the moves being made.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time for everybody. So it's good to know that you've been able to adjust well. Second question. Your coaching career has been long and storied, and there's been a great many stops along the way. How would you describe your journey from coaching at the community college level at the beginning of your career to holding positions in premier conferences such as the Southern Conference, the SEC, and now the ACC with Wake Forest?
Yeah, guys, it's really probably a path less traveled. Like most people probably, this is not the path that they take, but it was my path, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. One of the quotes I always like to say is, the road to success is always under construction, and my road to success has been a road that is weaved, went up and down the mountain, now to the top, but I think it's made me who I am, starting back in junior college and, the late 80s and 89, and then all the way to now as being a head coach in the ACC. That experience has been invaluable for me, and I've also had the opportunity to work under great coaches, Greg Marshall at Wichita State and Bruce Pearl at Tennessee and Billy Gillespie at Texas A&M. Porter Moser is a Final Four coach who was at Loyola, and I worked under him at Illinois State. And then having the chance to be a head coach, at the junior college level and the Division I level, and learning on my feet. Part of learning is learning what not to do, right? And part of learning is by trial and error. And so I've had all these experiences that I can draw back on now as I head into the ACC. You probably heard me say this before, I don't know, but a lot of times in life we want to hit a single, but we want to land on third, right? Can't do that. You got to work your way around the bases. And so I've been able to I played baseball in college. So, I worked my way around the bases to get here. And I think all that experience is going to really pay off.
That's awesome. Yeah, obviously a lot of great coaches you've worked under, and I'm sure you've gained a lot that way. So kind of going off of that, do you see a difference between coaching in like mid-major conferences and coaching in the ACC?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the level of player, and then the level of coaching. Not that I mean, there's some great coaches in the SoCon. Okay, I mean, Mike Young is in the ACC now at Virginia Tech. He was in the league, with me a year ago. Wes Miller at UNC Greensboro, um, Bob Ritchie at Furman, Greg Gary, tremendous coach at Mercer, on and on. Okay. But now we're talking about Hall of Fame coaches, and not that those guys maybe someday won't be, but now we have established Hall of Fame coaches in the ACC. We also have tremendous players, the best that they're the best in the country, the best in the world, high school, or whoever's on their team. And so I do think that part has stepped up. I do think coaching is coaching. I do think basketball is basketball. The game is the game. It's not going to change fundamentally because you went to the ACC. It's just going to be played at a lot higher level, and so, and the coaches are going to make less mistakes. And so you have to really be sharp and prepared, and then you have to have really good players, because I've learned a long time ago, guys, that really good players make really good coaches. And I've always believed in that. And so we've got to go out and try to get the very best student athletes that we can get here at Wake Forest.
So you were at ETSU for 5 years and kind of built each year on the previous year, and did better and better each year. Played postseason basketball a few times and won 30 games in your last season, which is all very, very impressive. So does that sustained success make the decision to come to Wake Forest even more difficult?
It's always difficult to leave something that you love. It was hard for me to leave my parents, when I went to college. I loved them. And I loved TSU, and I always will. And it's always special when you build something right from the bottom, and you reach the most wins in school history, right? And so, and you have these great relationships with your players, with the people that you work with, and the community. So that part, yes, that part was hard, but it didn't overcome the opportunity. And I saw there was so many positives with Wake. Okay, the first thing is ACC, right? It's the best league historically in college basketball. You have this world-class top 30 education in the country, right? Great recruiting tool to get great players who want to get a great degree. And then the third thing is this tremendous basketball complex, Shaw Basketball Complex. It's world-class. And so as hard as it was for me, to leave, the challenge of bringing, just like the challenge was at ETSU when I got there was tradition there, just needed a little spark, right? And that's what Wake needs. It needs to wake up, lack of a better term, and so maybe we'll put that on a t-shirt, right? Wake up. And so I saw those as great challenges, right? In a great place. And it's, we all strive to be at the top of our profession. And at the college level, coaching in the ACC, from a small town in Iowa, graduated with 32 people to being the head coach in the ACC, why not? Let's go. Let's take the challenge.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on a couple things that drew you to Wake Forest, the basketball complex and the ACC conference, but what were some of the other most compelling aspects about the job for you?
Well, my relationship with John Curry, John and I have known each other since I was at Tennessee 15 years ago. Somebody I had a ton of respect for, somebody that I have built a relationship with over time. And listen, guys, when you're getting ready to leave something that's really good, you want to make sure that you're going to go work with people that you trust, right? And I totally trust John, because I have experience working side by side with him in Tennessee and being successful. And so that was big. Just visiting with Dave Clawson and, Jonathan Walton and, Eric in admissions, Jane in academics, Barry Fair, all these people. The more I talked to them, the more interested I became because they sounded like they're all on the same page and they had a synergy to themselves that I felt like I wanted to be a part of. And so those things were really important for me. Okay, because as much as Wake was looking for a fit, I'm looking for the same thing, right? And they have to coexist. And I just felt like they did.
Yeah, when we spoke with Athletic Director Curry, he had a lot of good things to say about your relationship and your time together. So what are the first things that a head coach has to do after accepting the new job, and how has this process sort of been affected by, social distancing and the global health crisis that's going on right now?
You guys say a big prayer. That's what you got to say. Yeah. The number one thing, fellas, and I just basically kind of finished it up, is I had to re-recruit the team, right? That was the most important thing. To re-recruit the guys that were already in the program. And many, many, many of them had already put their name in the transfer portal. In fact, I think the day of my press conference, we had maybe 2 guys on the team, okay? Now, I'm not really good in math, but it's hard to play 5-on-2, and it's pretty hard to have practice with 2 guys. So I spent my entire time up until this weekend re-recruiting our current players. And pandemic affects that. How? Well, I can't meet them face to face. I can't work them out. I can't have them in the office, talk to them. I can't go to lunch with them. I can't build a relationship. How do you build a real relationship over the phone, over Zoom? But that's what it is, right? So I had to do it. And so I spent 22 out of the 24 hours in the day on the phone. Okay. And now we're to 9. Okay. Now we can play baseball, right? We can take infield, take outfield. So we got 4 left. But that was the most important thing for me, was re-recruiting the current roster. Of course, then there's the other, reaching out to donors, reaching out to former players, all those things, that take time. But I had to really prioritize the priority list on what was the most important thing, and that was the players. And that's what we've done up until, basically this week. And now we can work on filling the 4 remaining scholarships and start working on, obviously, the next 2 classes.
So one of the players I'm sure you've talked to over the past couple of days, as you mentioned, was rising sophomore guard Jacoby Neath, and he announced that he's going to return to Wake Forest. And how important do you see it? Do you see it as playing out to have a player with such a rare combination of youth and experience to return to this team? And what does that say about other players returning?
Well, I think they're all important in their own way. Okay, they all have their own unique talent and their own unique ability, and they're all good guys. I mean, I really have enjoyed, getting to know them. I think Jacoby specifically, gives us experience in the backcourt, right? A guy that played in the ACC a year ago, especially at the end of the year, had a lot of success. My conversations with Jacoby is I think he's competitive. And those kind of guys really do well for me. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to work and get better. And I want those kind of guys in our program. And so I think he'll be his work ethic, his personality will be infectious to other people. And then I think that's when you start having something special. But I think they all have their own unique contributions, and that's part of being on a team is putting a puzzle together, right? You can't have all the same pieces. The puzzle doesn't fit. And so I like the pieces. And now we got to add, 3 or 4 more to really, give us a chance to be competitive in our first year.
Okay. So So, a little bit building off that question, with the current global situation, like outside of recruiting, how have the preparations for the upcoming season been affected? And do you think that there will be any format changes to the league once the season begins in the winter?
I mean, I don't think we know as far as format. It's obviously people are discussing it, but I think it all starts back when we can start school, when students can be on campus. Well, does football go? Are they playing? Obviously we're after them. I don't know. I mean, it would be frivolous for me to guess. I don't know. Today, if you ask me, I'd say, my opinion, I'd probably say, I don't know if we're going to start on time. We have a better chance because obviously we're later, right? So we'll see. But it has really affected us as far as, building our program, as far as can't go work out our guys. Like right now, in the summer, we get 8 weeks, right, of practice, weights, academics. We don't get any of that. So that's going to hurt, especially a new program. It'd be one thing if, I've been here, 5-10 years and had, 8 guys back and understood the system and all that, it maybe wouldn't be as bad. But in the situation that we're in, it's devastating right now to not be able to have them here and work with them and help them get better and understand what our vision is for the program.
Do you have any tentative return plans for getting people together in person, or is it still all just up in the air right now?
I think it's something. I mean, there's really nothing we can do. I mean, as long as, until the rules change. I mean, the NCAA has right now, the recruiting dead period has been proposed to go all the way until July 31st. And if we can't be out recruiting and we can't be around people, surely we're not going to be able to be around our own players. I don't know that. That could change. It's kind of day to day. That's kind of how it went with guys. We won when I was at East Tennessee State, we won the tournament, punched our ticket in the NCAA tournament on a Monday, right? Tuesday, we took it off. Wednesday, we were taking off. And that night, the NBA canceled their season. Thursday, I have a meeting with my team telling them, we're either going to play it next week, move it back, or not play it. And when I walked out of the meeting, they canceled the tournament. So it was like, it's just, I don't know. It moves, it's moving fast. And until we get more information, I just don't really think I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, those are all the questions we have for you today. So we'd really thank you for meeting us, and look forward to the upcoming season. We can think some good things are going to be in store.
Let me say this, and I would like for you guys to be involved if you want. When we get back to campus in the fall, I've got a file going of some ideas for improve student involvement and get people excited again. So if you guys have ideas, I'd like to ask you at some point, if you think what I could do to help make it better. Okay. And so, or whatever, to improve the program. So let me get my program back in order first, and then maybe we can have that conversation. Okay.
Yeah. Anytime you want to be in touch, just reach out. I'd be happy to.
Guys. Well, I appreciate you taking time. I'm sorry I was late.
No, that happens. No problem. No problem at all.
I mean, guys, you're young, right? So when I was a kid, Zoom was like PBS, Sesame Street, right? So I didn't really know what Zoom was till pandemic hit. So I'm getting it figured out, all right? I'm working on it. So appreciate your time, and I look forward to meeting you guys face to face, okay?
For sure. Great talking to you, Coach.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.